quantum computing is accelerating in growth. It has a lot of industrial applications that will fundamentally change computing power. Now, one of the risks of quantum computing moving at the pace that it is the fact that a lot of security regarding blockchain and our financial system could be at risk. So we're going to evaluate these risks and how to mitigate these risks and explore broadly the future of quantum computing with our next guest, who's an expert in the field, Andrew Cheung, and his company 01 Quantum works on this exact issue.
This video is disseminated on behalf of 01 Quantum. That's ticker ONE on the TSXV.
Welcome to the show, Andrew. Good to see you.
Hi, Dave. Nice meeting you. Thank you for having me here.
Let's start by talking about the crypto industry as it relates to quantum, and then we can talk about the financial sector overall. The fact that Bitcoin's price isn't at $0 right now, Andrew, the market is not taking into account that this is going to be an immediate risk. The fact that quantum computing may one day break private keys. Is that true? Is the market fairly assessing the risks right now, or do you think it's underestimating the risk?
I think this is a very good question to begin with. In my opinion, I think the market, to some extent, had factored in some of the risk, but it's not like to the full degree. And the risk is quite simple because the whole crypto industry are depending on the elliptic curve signature, which is kind of like, how you sign your check. They are using elliptic curve to sign the transaction. So if the private key got compromised by reverse engineering from the public key, then that means you lose your token, you lose your asset. Everyone can sign the transaction on behalf of you and transferring token to whatever address they want. So yeah, it is. The risk is real, and the Q day hasn't happened as of yet. So, but a lot of people has already factored in the risk. I personally know a few people who kind of like either get rid of the position or at least partially to kind of counter the risk. Yeah.
What is exactly the risk from a technical perspective right now, as it stands?
Yeah, from the technical point of view, I think I kind of briefly mentioned the last minute was that the private key, which is the holy grail for the whole ecosystem in the cryptocurrencies industry, is the trust, right? It's like in the old days when the bank are trusting the signature, of the check, it's same idea. So the good thing about cryptocurrencies is that the not as easily forging a signature of the check. It is that the private key can be very tough to be forged from the public key. But then with the advancement with the computing speed of quantum computer, it is basically the super fast quantum computer with millions times faster than the supercomputer today can forge that private key back from the public key, which is totally exposed in the blockchain. So therefore, if someone get hold of your private key, that means you got to have the assumption that your asset in your wallet, whether it's a cold wallet or hot wallet, they'll be gone. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just take a look at this article from Forbes that kind of highlights the point here. So Google finds quantum computers could break Bitcoin sooner than expected. So here's the key. Google just told the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency industries that it has less than it thought to prepare for the quantum computing influence. In a white paper published March 31st, Google quantum AI researchers demonstrated that breaking the elliptic curve cryptography protecting Bitcoin, Ether, and most major cryptocurrencies could require fewer than 500,000 physical qubits on a superconducting quantum computer. Now, it's important to understand that no quantum computer can execute this attack today. Google's most advanced chip, Willow, has 105 qubits, but the distance between current hardware and a machine capable of cracking Bitcoin's cryptography is shrinking faster than projected. According to somebody who joined the paper as a late co-author, he said, "My confidence in Q-Day by 2032 has shot up significantly. He estimates at least a 10% chance that a quantum computer recovers a private key from an exposed public key by that year. 2032 is less than 5.5 years away. What do you think?
I cannot agree more. In fact, the whole thing is about, like, I would say, two myths that people are taking on quantum computing. First of all, like years ago when we started pitching post-quantum safety 8 years ago, people were laughing at us. They were saying that, hey, you're talking about something decades away, right? And then every year gone by, that so-called decades away were shrinking from 4 decades to 3 decades to 1 decade to 1 decade, and then now it's shrinking to a few years away. And that's number one thing. And then number two is that people are assuming that the checkmate is on Q day. Q day is defined as the date when these quantum computing hardware vendors, like the like of IBM, Google, Honeywell, D-Wave, whatever, would deliver a big quantum computer fast enough to do the crypto analysis, and that day, is now having a general consensus around 2029, and so people were assuming that, oh yeah, if that's the case, 2029 or 2030, 32, whatever, there a few years away, is the Q day. But then the problem is that Q day doesn't happen on that day. Q day happened like today or yesterday because hackers can already grab your data. The data means your public key in crypto, if you're using crypto as an example, or your banking transaction. They are all encrypted today, but then they wait until they got hold of a powerful quantum computer a few years down the road, and then they do the cracking. So the problem, is this is called the harvest now, decrypt later, HNDL attack. And so the problem happened today or even yesterday already. Your data may be already in the hands of the adversary, and you just didn't know about it. Yeah,
so which industries are most affected? In other words, who are most at risk from harvest now, decrypt later?
I would say there are two sides of the equation. The first side would be the financial reward from the bad actors. So from this angle, the crypto and banking would definitely be the lowest hanging fruit because of the financial reward that these people can get. And then from the other angle would be the national defense, for example, military or even military drone or whatsoever, and or critical infrastructure, because national hackers will be focused on those things. So it depends which angle you're looking at, financial or national security.
Which recent developments in the quantum computing space have worried you the most when it comes to this topic?
I would say the most interesting angle from the development of quantum computer would be not exactly on the number of qubits development, which has been for years already. It is the recent error correction technology. And the whole things about, remember I said, 8 years ago when we started to pitch PQC, post-quantum cryptography, people were laughing, saying that the decades away because they need like a lot of qubits to make that happen. But then alongside with the development of the absolute number of qubits, there was another trend of development in recent years. Recent years means only the last 2-3 years in the error correction technology, whereby you need fewer real qubits to create the same job, because with the error correction technology, the qubit would become less noisy. Okay, when it's become less noisy, you need less physical qubit to achieve the same job. So that is exactly the area that I would say people must pay attention to. Is the biggest development.
Ultimately, then, what do we do to protect ourselves right now? Let's start from the harvest now, decrypt later aspect. Let's say I don't want my information and financial data harvested. Is there some way I can shield myself right now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we have done for our partners or customers. I would say that like one thing that sets us apart from our competitors in the way that, we are not trying to license our technology for other people to do the work. We actually roll up the sleeve, we give it away for free, and we as long as they are using our service to help doing the job. And so we have already, have 4 commercial project landed the end user can use. The first one is, for example, Hitachi in Japan. They came to us and asked us to convert their remote access application, which is quantum vulnerable, to become quantum safe. That is exactly geared to prevent the HNDL, Harvest Now, Decrypt Later attack, because they worry that the communication channel when people are doing the remote access can be or maybe already been recorded by the adversary. So they worry about it. So they asked us to help converting their remote access application to become quantum safe. We signed the deal last year. We deliver, and they're so happy that earlier this year, a few months ago, they made the announcement in Japan. So as we speak now, they are actively marketing a quantum safe remote access in Japan. So that's one thing. So their customer can already already have a peace of mind that Harvest Now, Decrypt Later would not apply to them, right? The second thing is about crypto. We just talked about cryptocurrencies, and we have also completed a project for a crypto foundation based in Panama. Just about 3 weeks ago, we delivered the quantum vault for them. So this is another thing that they can prevent HNDL, because they would allow existing token holders, Ethereum and Hyperliquid, not Bitcoin yet, and so allow them to deposit the token into the vault, the quantum vault, by doing something they call quantum locking. And then once it's in the lock, just like you put things in your safe, quantum computer would take no advantage of it, right? And then when you want to spend something, you take it out, quantum unlock, you spend it, and then put the rest back into the quantum vault. So this is another thing that people can do to prevent the HNDL attack, right?
The issue is who has access to quantum computers powerful enough to actually execute any attack by, let's say, 2032 or even 2035. Are we limited to institutions and large actors here? Or is it going to be a time when even the average person with a laptop can have quantum chips?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It is something that we don't know. Like quantum computer, a lot of people thought that it is not available to the public, but indeed it is available already. Like in 2019, IBM already selling commercially their quantum computer. Now, by that time, they only have a 27 qubit, which is something that is not very useful. But developer can already start doing programming on quantum computers already. So it is already commercially available. Only that these are very expensive toy. You're talking about 15 million a piece, right? That anyone can write a check, can buy a quantum computer. So Amazon, right? A lot of people may not know about Amazon already offering quantum computing cloud services that you subscribe to, services that doesn't cost you a lot of money per month, and you can already start programming using their quantum computer. So it is going to be available to almost everyone, like large adversary, national, and even the average people, eventually. I don't think you need to wait until 2030 or something, because IBM already predicting they are going to deliver the first full fault tolerant quantum computer by 2029.
Are traditional banks at risk? What about my savings accounts?
Well, the bank would definitely be at risk, because everything that's safe in the bank or secure by the for example, your bank card. I'm using that as an example. The bank card has a chip there, and the chip today is using RSA encryption, which can be forged. by quantum computers. So by that day, if someone get hold of your card, swipe it into a device or something, and within minute they'll get your private key and they can force your card right away. So yeah, it's a game changer basically.
So then, yeah, by that point, then nobody will trust any ATMs or even point of sales devices. Then what happens? How do we pay for things? Is it going to be entirely through our phones or through some other device, you think?
If they made the change before Q day, I think it would be okay. That should be okay with that, because the bank card is less prone to the HNDL attack, because once your card is updated, the old key doesn't work anymore. So the HNDL attack wouldn't work, for the bank card. The day when they made the change, the old information doesn't apply, right? And for crypto, it's different story. Your public key is valid forever. See what I mean? Like when it's valid forever, unless you change it to a different wallet, a different chain, different token, that's a different story. But then to make it happen, it is very, very difficult with a decentralized system. The bank is a centralized system. So with the centralized system, the bank can force each customers to upgrade a card, to upgrade everything very easily. But in the decentralized system, there's no big brother. No one can force anyone to do anything. So it's a total different story. It's way more difficult in the decentralized system.
But once you actually get to Q day, right? What can you or anybody else in your industry do to stop this?
I think we should not even be talking about once reaching Q day. The things should be doing it now already. What we have provided to our customers and partner is that they can start the conversion journey today, right? So that you have to be protected already before Q day. The problem is that no one knows exactly when Q day would be. As I mentioned earlier, the myth was like people were saying, hey, that's decades away, 40 years away, and then 30 years away, and 20 years, and 10. Now it's talking about like 5 years, 3 years, 2.5 years away. So you got to be ready before Q day. Otherwise, if you hear about Q day, it's too late. I always use the same analogy like a tsunami. When you hear the tsunami warning, right, and you see that there's no big wave, nothing coming, and let's have a swim. It's too late. When you can see the tsunami, it's too late. You got to run when you hear the siren, and that's exactly what is going to happen to Q day protection.
Is there anything that could be due on chain to Bitcoin or any other layer ones that can make it more quantum resistant?
To make it quantum resistant is not difficult at all. From the theory point of view, all you have to do is replacing the elliptic curve signature by a quantum safe signature such as Falcon or Sphinx Plus or whatsoever, right? But then the difficult lies in two things for the crypto industry. First, the chain that make it so successful is the same factor that making it so difficult to update, because the whole chain is based on the elliptic curve. If you change it to a post-quantum, from a technical point of view, you change to a post-quantum signature, the size is too large and you have to change the code. Once you change the code, it's no longer the same chain and it is no longer the same wallet. Basically, is the hard forking. Nobody like that, right? That's number one. Number two is that, as I mentioned a little earlier, it is a decentralized system. There's no big brother. No one can force anyone to do anything. So, for example, the Satoshi wallet, no one even know who Satoshi is. They cannot force Satoshi and give you Satoshi a phone call saying, hey, you know what, now we have a quantum safe wallet, right? It's a different coin. We call it maybe the quantum safe BTC, and you have to move everything from your old BTC to the new BTC. They cannot force that person to do anything. So it becomes very, very, very difficult to do, and that's exactly the reason why our partner was contracting us to create that Q Vault that is working for existing token right? Something that they started with Hyperliquid and Ethereum, and later will be migrating to other things like Solana and Bitcoin eventually. So they're allowing the existing token holder to also voluntarily, they cannot force them to do anything, to put the things into the quantum safe vault, at least knowing that it's going to be safe whenever Q-Day happen, and whatever day it is going to be, right?
So is it easier from a technical perspective to change a layer one like Bitcoin or anything else from an elliptic curve system signature to something else that's more quantum resistant? Or is it more easy to design a completely new blockchain from the ground up that is more quantum resistant to begin with?
I think what you mentioned, the two things are basically the same. The same coin from two different sides. They're the same thing. Once you change the signature away from the elliptic curve into a quantum safe signature, it is basically a different coin already.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the problem then becomes getting the validators in the community of any particular chain to actually reach a consensus on what to do going forward. So I think from a governance perspective, it could be easier just to make a new coin, right?
Yeah, from a technical point of view, is easier to make the new coin, and but from a practical point of view, it is all very, very difficult. Again, because it's a decentralized system, no one can force anyone to do anything. So you make a new chain, can you call Satoshi and say, hey, there's a new chain, please make your transfer? Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that I suppose one day, if this becomes a more mainstream issue such that everyone's talking about it and doing something to prepare for it, A, maybe that may be too late already, but B, by that point, if somebody creates other blockchain that's more quantum resistant, then those chains become more valuable than Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, theoretically, yes. Yeah.
What Bitcoin changes do you propose right now? Well, let's say we have to protect our own private keys, like we talked about, and start the migration process. But if you were to somehow oversee the migration from Bitcoin to what it is now into something more quantum resistant, how would you start that process?
I would say the process is exactly what we have already done for other crypto. That it is to at least to have a quantum vault that is safe against quantum computers. So this is kind of like a last resort that, hey, there is already a boat that you can jump on, before the big wave coming. It's like a Noah. Like there's a boat, and it's existing, it's working already. Today, right? Not tomorrow. Is working today. So whether you want your protection, do you want a peace of mind that you want to deposit into this totally the non-custodian the quantum vault, then you got the base all covered while developing into a different chain and take the time to try moving every people over. I think that would be the practical approach, rather than there's no silver bullet. That's a more practical approach, in my opinion.
Right now, for an individual, walk us through practically what we can do to protect ourselves. And let's say if we were to use U01 quantum, for example, how would that process work?
Now, for individual, there's really nothing much you can do. Say, for an individual, you're working with your bank, you're relying on the bank. It is your bank's responsibility to convert themselves into becoming quantum safe, right? And then your government, your ID, your government ID, and everything, your passport, whatever, it is your government's responsibility in doing so. So an individual, if you are the only thing that you can do is that if you going back to the same the argument is the decentralized system. If you are a user of crypto, which is a decentralized system, there's at least one thing you can do to put your asset into a quantum vault, making it safe today. It is already there, right? We made it. We made it for our partners, and they already delivered commercially 3 weeks ago. And but other than that, individuals are really relying on the enterprise and government they work on for their quantum conversion journey, right? Other than that, there's nothing much an individual can do.
How does the quantum vault work? Is it basically like a hard wallet? Can I move my assets around?
Yeah, yes, you can move it around. It is online. It is called qvault.xyz. It is not our product. We created for our partners, and all you have to do is link your wallet. It's kind of working like a smart contract wallet. You link your wallet to the quantum vault, and then you just move your token into the vault. Simple.
Interesting. Okay. And what major milestones are you planning to achieve in the next 3 years, 3 to 5 years, let's say before 2032 for your company, 01?
Yeah, our main goal is that we keep saying that we make everything quantum safe. Right? Again, so our business model is to help our customers doing the job rather than licensing the technology for them to do it. So it's proven to be at least successful that we're starting to generate revenue already last year, while the remaining of the sector are still pre-money. And then we don't stop there. There are just too many verticals. We have created again a quantum safe remote access for Hitachi in Japan that they are now selling it, and while we get some royalties percentage out of it, and then we have the Q Vault for another partner. We also have created a quantum safe email system, which is allowing Outlook users to quantum encrypt the email and the digital signature. And then last but not least, as I said, we are focusing on the crossover between AI and quantum safety. So if there's any about AI is that if there's any one single factor that is preventing AI from doing the maximum, is privacy. Everyone worry about it. Everyone knows about it. And some organizations they don't even allow their staff to use AI for that very same reason. So since 2 years ago, we have been working on an invention that is quantum encrypting the user data and the model at the same time before doing the AI inference, so that the question that you ask AI, right, it contain like some privacy confidential data, and then you ask AI, and the AI going back the answer for you, the round trip is end-to-end encrypted. So only you with the private key the quantum safe private key can decrypt the answer. So you are not disclosing anything by asking AI the question. Even the AI can provide the answer back to you. So that is the latest greatest we're working on.
For attackers, I suppose you could also an attacker could also use AI with a quantum computer to attack a financial institution and hack them. Theoretically, you could, in a few years, with AI assistance, which would make it easier than doing it yourself, then use a powerful enough quantum system or computer to break encryption. How would that work in theory?
Well, that is it is actually using AI to do the hacking into the loophole of the infrastructure, right? But that doesn't help doing the hacking for the PQC post quantum signature or post quantum encryption. Like quantum computer cannot break into the PQC signature, and they also cannot break into the quantum safe encryption. So that kind of AI assisted hacking can only help doing the traditional non PQC ecosystem, and it won't have any effect on the on those systems that has completed the quantum safe conversion journey.
Well, finally, what announcement? Let's say you're reading the news in a couple of years. There's some announcement. What would convince you that quantum computing has reached an inflection point?
From the hardware point of view, I would say pay very high attention again to the error correction. technology, because the error correction technology would allow way less qubits to achieve the quantum hacking than what the industry believed just 5 years ago. So that is number one that for investors or whoever to pay attention to, rather than the physical qubit. I'm not saying physical qubit is not important. Let's say IBM suddenly release a quantum computer with 5 million physical qubit. They don't need the very good error correction technology to achieve the thing. So the two things are add up together. And then the number two things to pay attention to which is actually my biggest worry, is that all this information about IBM, Microsoft, or Google, whatever, are information from the open world, right? And there are some closed world, such as Russia and China, whose vendor never published their roadmap. If you still remember, not too long ago, there was a DeepSeek event in the AI industry. So people must pay attention to what the Chinese quantum computer would deliver in maybe even later this year, 27, 28, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but this is something that I worry, because I don't know. Only from the known information, for the writings on the wall in the open world, the consensus now is 2029. So if there anything delivered from the closed world, it would move the needle even earlier than 2029. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, Andrew. Well, thank you very much for your update. Tell us where we can learn more about 01 quantum computing for now and stay up to date with your developments.
Yeah, we keep making announcement about our development. As I mentioned, we're now focusing in the crossover between AI and quantum safety. Timing couldn't be better. We remember we have we made the invention 2 years ago, and the U.S. Patent Office just granted us a patent in the AI, we call QAW, quantum AI wrappers technology, and that was just a few weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, we were demonstrating and announcing this crossover between AI and quantum safety at the Toronto Machine Learning Summit. So those are the things that we do and act very actively. This is part of the reason why I'm here, is that we are now starting. We kind of switched gear a little bit, trying to tell the world more about the company. And whereas the trade-off that we have made in the last 3 years was that we are focusing more our resources in creating the technology and creating the project for our customers, so that we can establish ourselves strongly in the footing for the PQC industry, rather than spending money in promoting the stock, the values. But we have switched gear now that we have done it already. So it's time that we're starting to tell the world about what we have already achieved and what we will be achieving in the immediate future.
Thanks very much, Andrew. We look forward to following your journey, and we'll have you back on again to give us more company updates. So we'll put the link to your website for now, and people can stay up to date and follow your website, and of course follow your stock, learn more about your company, and do more due diligence online. Your ticker is ONE on the TSXV and OONEF on the QB exchanges. Welcome to the show, Andrew. I look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here, David.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.